If you can give us some background on the client and kind of just where they came from before they started with Plus.
Yeah. So, I mean, for all of our clients, we try to keep, the work that we're doing, we do keep the work that we're doing confidential and secure. And, unless we have the go ahead from the client, we don't even share client names. So, this is also ongoing work that's going on. So, but the client is a manufacturing company dealing with a series of litigations based on, some potential issues or alleged issues with their product.
So how did they really come to be a client of Plus? Was it something they were facing with an old provider that were kind of some hiccups, or how did they come to be our client?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think we were introduced to them, or we were introduced to them through a law firm client of ours, a relationship we had with the law firm, and the law firm thought we would be a good solution given the challenges that this manufacturing company was facing, and the heavy lift that was going to be required in terms of the discovery phase of the process. So introduced through a law firm client of ours, and yeah, we kind of hit the ground running on the project.
Yeah, what were some of those challenges in regards to the discovery?
Yeah, some of these litigations or the facts and the crux of the litigations go back many, many years. And because of that, what you end up dealing with is a lot of old data or, in this case, hard copy data.
Mhm.
So, a number of challenges around that. One, transitioning that work to, ESI, so that it can be better managed. So we had to do that first, then unitizing that data in a way that is now more coherent in terms of executing, a variety of workflows that have to be accomplished on that data.
Mhm.
So, that was obviously one of the challenges, just the nature of the data and it being kind of everywhere in hard copy form. So that was the first challenge. And the second challenge was, we're dealing with a lot of data across, various litigations.
Okay.
So figuring out ways to make sure that that data when we're performing the review can be reused across the litigations so that they're getting the benefits of the work that we're doing with respect to any one litigation.
Okay. And then correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong here, but this client is utilizing our domestic team and our global team, correct?
Yeah, so
For
we've
for
taken kind
review
of
specifically?
yes. So,
Okay.
we're also, hosting the data, right? So we were,
Okay.
involved in the front end with the unitization of the data, putting that into our REL one, getting it doing all of the ECA and assessment around the technology itself so that we could, be as efficient as we could when we came time for the review. And then from the review perspective, we are using a global approach. And what we're doing there is we're leveraging both our domestic team and our team in India and coming up with the appropriate approach, leveraging technology to kind of make the review as efficiently move as efficiently as possible.
There been any specific solutions that our review team has had to implement using certain technologies or specific workflows that has helped this client?
Yeah, so I think from a workflow perspective, it really is coming up with the most effective allocation of resources. I think one
Mm-hmm.
of the benefits of our overall managed review program is that we have resources, in different time zones, right? So here you have a ton of data that you have to get through in a relatively expedited manner. Having a team that we can leverage in India and having a team we can leverage here in the States allows us to kind of work on a rolling basis based on the time
Okay.
zone. So we're able to kind of get through the data much quicker. The other big piece of that is we have permanent teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have folks that are with us and then leave us. We are able to put like a dedicated permanent team on
Yeah.
this matter or series of matters. So that kind of allows us to better apply the data that we're reviewing across the litigations, and we're able to kind of retain that institutional knowledge within our team. So as we
Mm-hmm.
move from certain sets of data for one litigation to the next, that institutional knowledge that we have is retained by our teams across the overall matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think using kind of the full global scale of our managed review operations also
Yeah.
allows the client to realize significant cost savings.
Mm-hmm.
I think from my perspective, if this overall review process was handled by outside counsel, you're looking at a project or series of projects that are going to be 4 or 5 times more expensive than what we're able to accomplish the same work in.
Yeah.
And then by using a global review approach as opposed to a solely domestic review approach, right? So we're layering in India along with our domestic team with appropriate resource allocation, and then
Yeah.
on top of that, pulling the appropriate technology levers. We've been able to reduce costs by I would say anywhere between 45 to 55%
Yeah.
as compared to like leveraging purely a domestic review approach.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I like the way you kind of put it, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that it's like this round around the clock kind of work to get this done. Because I know that we've talked about deadlines and having to, like, the data is just so much and having to get it in. So I like to hear that, like, because we have the domestic and global team, that we're able to kind of just keep it moving,
Yeah.
at the benefit of the client.
100%. It's definitely the keeping it moving part, but it's also like having the dedicated team so the handoffs happen and
Yeah.
knowledge is appropriately transferred as the
Mhm.
project moves forward.
Yeah. So when you say that, is that the connection between, like, the team of hosting, like the fact that this client is also getting support from us on the discovery level, and then we're able to seamlessly transfer this into our managed review team?
Yeah, so I think it's two things, right? It's certainly that, right? We have
Okay.
our PM team that's dedicated to the matter from a technology perspective and
Okay.
working with our review teams to make sure we're pulling the appropriate technology levers and we're leveraging their expertise, when it comes to, all aspects of Rel 1, which is, extremely powerful. But then it's also kind of the communication between our review team, right? Our team in India, executes work, and then they're sharing that the knowledge they're learning, the feedback, what they're seeing in the documents, and then that's transferring to our US team, and it kind of feeds on itself in like an
Mhm.
iterative feedback loop.
Okay. Right on. I mean, I think that obviously it's still ongoing, and again, it's always funny from the marketing person to come in and ask, like, well, what's the lesson learned? And a lot of times operations be like, this is just what we do. This is who we are. Like, what do you mean? But, like, I guess from me to you, is there been a lesson that has been learned through this, or is it one of those, this is who we are, this is what we do, or both?
I think it's a fair question. I think anytime I've been in this space for a long time, and it was outside counsel before I moved into the legal service provider space. I think I try to put myself in outside counsel shoes and then try to put myself in the end corporate client shoes, right? So I think one of the big lessons we've learned, right, is all right, putting ourselves in outside counsel shoes or the end client shoes. What does outside counsel care about, right? What are the issues that outside counsel faces? One is certainly resource constraint, right? Your outside counsel has a finite amount of resources, and they want to be focusing on the substantive legal issues of the case.
Mm-hmm.
So our team, our global team with that global scale, with 500 plus employees across the organization, is able to, solve that issue of resource constraint for outside counsel in a dedicated way with a workflow that's created by us, controlled by us, and then feeding up to outside counsel. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that we solved that problem, or we're learning that we were able to solve those problems of resource constraint for
Mm-hmm.
outside counsel. And then what does the end client, what does the manufacturing company at the end of the day care about, right? They want good work product, but they also want to do it in a cost-effective manner, and
Mm-hmm.
leveraging a global managed review approach with the appropriate resource allocation, with the appropriate process, pulling all of the technology levers offered by Relativity One, solves those issues of cost,
Mm-hmm.
cost constraints, cost, overall cost of the matter, and allows allows us to execute work for them at a price point that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think those are the two things that we're learning, leveraging our global managed review program, and then layering that in with our Rel 1 technology solution.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super stoked to hear it.